All right, fourth grade, here we are. We are subtracting mixed numbers today. If we were adding mixed numbers yesterday, today we're going to practice subtracting them. So I'm calling this lesson Subtracting Mixed Numbers, and I'm writing the next page number. So put that entry into your table of contents, and then let's get going. Just like we did yesterday, we're going to practice two ways to subtract mixed numbers. So I'm going to draw a line going down the center of my notebook page so that I can practice those two different strategies. The first strategy is called take away, where we subtract our mixed numbers. Our other strategy is called count up, because we're going to be using our addition skills to find our answer to the subtraction problem. By the way, are you looking for your password of the day? Because it's count up. Count up is your password of the day. We're going to do the same thing as yesterday, where we're going to do the same problem two different ways and compare how we feel about those strategies. So we're going to start with 5 and 2/4, and we're going to take away 3/4. I'm going to rewrite that number sentence over here, since I'll be doing it again for the count up strategy. First, we're going to do take away. Just like when we're adding mixed numbers, we take away the like units. We take away the whole numbers and we take away the fractions. But what I noticed is that if I took away 3/4 from 2/4, there's not enough. So I'm going to decompose my 3/4. I'm going to decompose it to this fraction so that I have enough to take away. And what's left over? 3/4 take away 2/4, and I'm left with 1/4. And now I've decomposed 3/4. So now I can subtract 2/4 from 5 and 2/4, which just leaves me with the whole number 5. And all that's left to take away is 1/4. So I'm going to subtract 1/4. This is where this strategy can get tricky because you'll have to do some mental math. When I subtract a fraction from a whole number, I'm going to break down a whole number to its next highest whole number. And then I'm going to take away this fraction from one whole. So if one whole is 4/4, I'm going to take away 1/4. So my answer is 4 and 3/4. Let's try this now, but counting up. When I count up, I start with my smallest number and I work up until I get to my larger number. So I'm going to start at 3/4. And I'm going to count up until I land on 5 and 2/4. My first goal in counting up is get to a whole number. If I can get to a whole number, my life becomes much easier for adding. So I'm going to move to the next whole number, which is 1. To get from 3/4 to 1, I have to add 1 more fourth. So I'm going to add plus 1/4 on my arrow. But I don't want to stop at 1 whole. I want to keep going until I get 5 as my whole number. So I'm going to work up to 5. 1 plus 4 gets me to 5. But again, I don't want to stop at just 5. I want to go all the way and count up until I get to 5 and 2/4. So that means I need to add 2 more fourths. To get my answer, I'm going to count up everything that I've added to get from 3/4 to 5 and 2/4, because that's the difference in our subtraction problem. 4 wholes and 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. So altogether we counted up 4 and 3/4. These two strategies are very different from one another. I'll admit, counting up does take a while, but I really enjoy addition. So I'm going to put my smiley face next to counting up. Put your smiley face next to the strategy that you enjoyed doing more or that felt more comfortable for you. And let's practice another problem. This time we're going to subtract 8 3/5 minus 4/5. I'm going to rewrite that number sentence over here to solve in my second strategy. Let's start by taking away. I don't have enough to take away only 3/5. 4/5 is too many. So I'm going to decompose 4/5 into 3/5 that I can take away and one more fifth for a total of 4/5. Now that I've decomposed this, I'm going to get rid of it. 8 3/5 take away 3/5 equals 8. And now I'm going to subtract 1/5. My answer is going to be one less whole number, and 5/5 take away 1/5 is 4/5. So my answer is 7 4/5. That felt pretty efficient, but I can't truly compare until I try the other strategy, so let's count up now. Let's start at our smallest fraction, 4/5, and count up until we get to 8 3/5. My first goal is to get to a whole number. So I want to get to one whole. That's the closest next whole number I can get to. One whole is the same as 5/5. So I'm going to add one more fifth. Now I made it to a whole number. But that's not the whole number that I want to end on. I want to end on 8 as my whole number. So let's jump up another benchmark to the number 8. How much did I have to add to get from 1 to 8? Well, I had to add 7 more. I'm doing pretty well, but again, I don't want to just stop at the number 8. I want to go all the way until I get to 8 3/5. So I'm going to add 3/5 to get from 8 to 8 3/5. Let's total up everything that we've counted up. 7 wholes, 3/5 plus 1/5 equals 4/5. So we counted up 7 4/5. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked doing that takeaway method this time. It felt really efficient, felt really quick. 4th grade, we're going to do one more problem, which means that we're going to practice each strategy one more time. This problem is going to be a little more different, and you're going to be more independent. So let's talk about your new number sentence. 4 2/5 minus 1 3/5. What makes this number sentence different is that we're taking away a mixed number, not just a fraction. But the process is still going to be the same. I'm going to start by taking away like units, and this time I have a whole number to take away. 4 take away 1 equals 3. Since I can't take away 3/5 from 2/5, I'm going to rewrite those fractions next to the number 3. Now we're going to decompose so we can take away 2/5. So I'm going to pull 2/5 out of my 3/5, which leaves me with one more fifth. I've broken down this 3/5, so now it's your turn. Finish the rest of the problem. What happens when we take away 2/5? And once we get that number, what happens when you take away one more fifth? Pause this video and check your work with me in 3, 2, and 1. Did you get 2 4/5? Awesome. That meant that when you took away 2/5 from 3 2/5, you were left with the number 3. And we had one more fifth to take away from 3. 3 minus 1/5 equals 2 whole groups and 4/5. So let's solve it again, but by counting up. Again, this problem is a little bit different because we're starting with a mixed number instead of just starting with a fraction like we did here. But just because we're starting with a mixed number, a number with a whole number in the front, doesn't mean that the process changes. When we start counting up, our first goal is just to get to a whole number. This isn't a whole number. This is a mixed number because we have a number and a fraction. So we want to get to the whole number that comes after 1 3/5, and that's 2. So how many more fifths do we need to work from 1 3/5 to 2? We need 2 more fifths. So now you're going to finish the rest of the count up method to find your answer. Pause this video and check your work in 3, 2, and 1. All right, let's compare work. Your next benchmark should have been to get to the whole number that you're starting off with, which was 4. So I added 2 to get to 4. And then I wanted to do one more step to get me to that mixed number, 4 2/5. So I added 2 more fifths for 4 2/5. If I totaled up everything I counted up, that would be 2 wholes, and 2/5 plus 2/5 equals 4/5. This time, I gotta stick with my favorite, which is counting up, and that might not be the same for you, but that's okay. Now let's practice it some more, add a response, and just work on your absolute favorite strategy.